Record. All right, awesome. This is a great group. Thank you so much, everyone, for getting on tonight. We hope this will be kind of just an informative session on the Upper Delaware litter sweep that we're planning. Like we said before, this is a really great group representing a lot of different communities throughout our 15 towns and townships, and we're really excited. So just before we get into our introductions of us, we have an agenda that we want to go through. So just for format's sake, we're going to go through our agenda and, you know, present you with all the information we have so far, what we're thinking, how we want to plan this. And then feel free to type any questions in the chat box as we go through. And if you don't mind muting yourself, just if you aren't talking so that the sound quality is good for the recording. So again, just put questions in the chat box, and then after we kind of go through our information, we will open it up to questions, discussion, all that good stuff. And this is, you know, this is our kind of first informational conversation, but we'll be working a lot with the litter leaders in the communities coming up through the next couple months, which April is not far away. I say a couple months like it's like months away, but it's really not. So yeah, so thank you everyone for being here. And I'm going to turn it over to our executive director, Lori, to introduce herself, and we'll just introduce the staff real quick.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Lori Ramey, executive director of the Upper Delaware Council, and maybe we can just sort of go in the order that we have on our screens, although it might differ for some people. You just met Shannon, and we'll move on to Ashley.
Hi folks, I'm Ashley. I'm the secretary at UDC. I've been there for a few years, and one of my favorite events is the UDC raft trip, and I'm really looking forward to this event as well.
Thanks, Ashley. I'll just go through my screen. So if I say your name and you just want to say who you are, who you work with, or what community you're from, that would be great. So Larry Richardson, you are up first.
Okay, thank you. Well, I represent the town of Coshocton on the Upper Delaware Council and also the Upper Delaware Scenic Byway. And I'm an experienced litter plucker, and my team is experienced, and I declare us the winners.
Modest too.
Next, I think I have Jeff Shook. You're next. Jeff and Lynn.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jeff Shook, and this is Lynn Mills. She's floating around here somewhere. I'm a supervisor in Lackawaxen Township, and Lynn is a member of our nonprofit, Growing Lackawaxen, and we host different events, and we're looking forward to being a part of this one.
Great, thank you. Evan?
My name is Evan Padua. I am Tustin Town alternate on the UDC, and I represent in the Worm Committee on the UDC, also a fishing guide on the Upper Delaware, and like picking up garbage. And Larry, I still got a golden can from a litter pluck. It's like 20 years ago, so I'm going to challenge you.
Okay.
Ginny Dudko.
Hi, folks. I'm from the town of Deer Park. I'm the alternate on the UDC, also the chair of the Worm Committee, and also the byway representative for the town of Deer Park.
Jenny. Tom Dent.
Greetings. I'm from the town of Delaware, and I am one of Tess Macbeth's minions, having participated in a number of litter plucks along 17B in our town, and looking forward to seeing what else we can do.
Great, thanks. Christina?
Hello. I'm from the town of Coshocton. Yep, here I am.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Sarah Velasquez?
Hi, I'm from Milanville, Pennsylvania, but I am the Education and Development Assistant at Delaware Highlands Conservancy.
Palmyra?
It must be on the phone.
Can you speak up a little bit? It's a little hard to hear you.
I am Palmyra Miller.
Hi.
Hi, and I represent Keep Northeastern Pennsylvania Beautiful. And we have, I'm recently retired from Pennsylvania Environmental Council. So that's where I came from if you need any type of support. And I'm anxious to hear what's happening in the Upper Delaware.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Tess, you're on mute, Tess.
Hi, I'm Tess Macbeth from the town of Delaware, town clerk and tax collector, and I've been litter plucking for many years now. Tom Dent is one of my faithful litter pluckers, and I can't seem to get away from trash, so I'm looking forward to this year.
I don't know how to take that test.
Awesome. Thanks, Tess. Maura?
Hi, I'm Maura Kaicho. I am the Director of Executive Operations and the Administrative Associate to the Board of Trustees at SUNY Sullivan. And I live in Narrowsburg. I love the Delaware River. My family and I use it all summer long. But SUNY Sullivan has a location over in the Narrowsburg Union. So we're really excited to join this effort.
Awesome. Thanks, Maura. Dan?
Mute.
Oh, we can't hear you, Dan.
Dan, you have to unmute.
Can't unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Name's Dan Paparella. I was born and raised in Beach Lake, Pennsylvania. I was an alternate for the town of Tustin last year, but moved to Maine, so I've kind of been absent. And I was the litter sweep coordinator for last year. Things kind of got shut down with COVID, but glad to see it's up and running again. So.
Yeah, Dan did a ton of work last year for the 2020 litter sweep, which unfortunately wasn't able to happen, but because of his efforts, the team at UDC has been able to use a lot of those materials. So we are very grateful for that.
Is Dan back in the Dan, are you back in the US or do you have a really long picker?
I never got out of the US actually.
Oh, is that right?
Way at the airport. Yeah.
Okay, good to have you.
I'm in Maine. But
Awesome. Andy Boyer?
Yeah, hi. I've been designated by the town of Highland to be the litter leader. And I've been doing this, like so many of you, for a long time. I'm president of the Upper Delaware chapter of Trout Unlimited, and we have had, that's one of our annual projects to honor about Earth Day, to do a litter pluck. So there's resources there in Fremont, Coshocton, Delaware, down the New York side, and Pennsylvania, from Trout Unlimited. And I'm looking forward to working with everybody. And I serve on the Upper Delaware Council. My position on the Worm Committee is MIA, missing in action. And I'm an alternate from the town of Highland.
I do, for anyone who's not involved with the UDC yet, WORM, when we say WORM, we are meaning Water Use and Resource Management, which is one of our many committees, which Ginny is the chair of and Andy's the former chair. And that is the committee that is also planning this litter sweep, just as a point of information. Yeah, of course. Thanks, Andy. Lori Stewart.
Hi, I'm Lori Stewart. I'm the publisher of the River Reporter. And it was actually the late Dave Hulse who came up with the idea of litter pluck, and it was championed by the River Reporter for many years and then taken over by Sullivan County. And I'm glad it's landing now in the River Corridor at the UDC. I'm just interested in following what you all are doing and seeing how the River Reporter can help magnify your voice and your efficiency in picking up trash.
Thank you, Lori. Colleen Emery.
Evening, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here. I'm sitting here with my Sullivan Renaissance hat on, and Shannon and I are going to explore if this event can be funded by a Healthy Community Initiatives grant. And at Renaissance, we're very, very excited about this. And Lori, I'm with you. I would like to use our organizations to magnify your efforts. because the litter has really gotten out of control again in Sullivan County, and it's going to be one of our focuses. So we stand ready to help you with outreach, getting the word out, trying to get some more volunteers, but we really would like to splash this, and we'll explore how Renaissance can support this event. So thank you for having me. It's nice to see you all.
Awesome. Thanks, Colleen. John Eric?
Howdy, folks. I'm from the town of Delaware, and I've been leading the beautification of our hamlet here in Callicoon for 3 years now. And I'm also on a committee that has been working for 4 years on turning the 19th century train depot in the middle of Callicoon into a visitor center for the Upper Delaware Scenic Byway and a local community space. And I aspire to be a Tess Macbeth minion.
Excellent. Thank you, John Eric. If Sue Sullivan is still there, she doesn't look like she's there. I know said she was popping it out. Sue Sullivan is our Tustin rep for the UDC. I'll move on to Kathy Scullion.
Hi, sorry, I was listening to another meeting too. I'm from SUNY Sullivan as well as Maura, and we were thinking about putting together a team, so that's why I'm listening in.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks.
Dave Dean?
I'm Dave Dean, I'm the rep for the town of Deer Park. I'm the two white blobs on the top line. Look good there. Looking forward to it. Actually, I wish there was a way that when people threw stuff out their window, it came back double in spades to them. But unfortunately, we have a lot of people who have no concern about it, but we'll clean up after them anyway.
And Ginny's going to
So
help.
Ginny's also from the town of Deer Park. She's the alternate rep for Deer Park.
And she's helping.
And she's a big help.
Thanks, Dave. I have MRHWDS. Who is that?
Hi, my name's Dawson. I heard about your effort for the first time just last night on the local news on TV 13. So I sent an email, got a response from Ashley. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
And happy to help however I can. I volunteered Delaware Water Gap at Peak, and I did my first paddle down the Delaware this year. So it was very exciting and loved it. So happy to help.
Excellent. Excellent. We're grateful to have you. Thanks so much for hopping on, Dawson.
Sure.
Brian Scarfeld.
Oh, there's a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Scarfield from Sullivan County Parks Department. And yeah, we set up the roadside litter pluck event every year for the county. Look forward to working with everyone this year on this, and hopefully we can get a lot of litter off the road.
Yes, thank you. And then who is the 887-3128 number?
Oh, that was me.
Okay.
That was me, Shannon. I couldn't get the audio on my computer.
Thanks, Brian. Jeff Thompson.
Hi, yes, I'm also a member of the board of Growing Lackawaxen, and it looks like I might be the lead for Lackawaxen.
Excellent, glad to have you. And Rochelle Dufton.
Hi, I'm Rochelle. I am the newest member of Friends of the Upper Delaware River in upstate New York. I look forward to working with everyone.
Awesome, thanks, Rochelle. Okay, that was a lot of people, and we're so glad to have you all. So that was really great to have just some introductions to go around. All right, so now I just want to pass it over to our director, Lori, to just kind of give you a quick brief background on the litter sweep and the purpose and what we're trying to do. So Lori, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for being here. We can see that there's a great interest in this program, and that's very enheartening to us to know that so many people want to get involved. As Dan mentioned, we tried this in 2020. It was ill-fated thanks to COVID, which ruined so many things for us. But the idea was that 2020 was the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, and Andy Boyer was actually the one to have this brainchild that we should do a land-based cleanup, because there are a few organizations that do river cleanups, which is terrific. and some of the municipalities actually have contracts to pick up trash along the river banks and shoreline as it is now. But we were talking about, just to start off, something a little less ambitious perhaps, in which people could pick up anything that they can physically handle themselves along the roads and the river access areas and our public highways and byways, which unfortunately get very marred by other people's trash. And of course, that has ramifications for the environment, for tourism in our area. And it goes without saying that it's a subject that's of interest to everybody and nobody wants it. We're lately finding that it even makes its way into the waterways, which is not a huge surprise. But just at the aforementioned worm committee last night, we were receiving some preliminary results about a microplastic study that has gone on in the Delaware River. And Don Hamilton, the Natural Resources Chief for the National Park Service, Upper Delaware Scenic and Recreational River, gave us some of the preliminary results, which were pretty astonishing. I'll give you a few statistics here that they sampled 9 sites in the Delaware River and on its tributaries. And this was in conjunction with the USGS. Microplastics were found in 100% of water and sediment samples, 94% of fish, and 45% of mussels. And they found that the predominant feature of those microplastics were fibers across all of the sample types, constituting 70% of microplastics in water samples, 77% in sediment samples, and 97% in fish samples, and 100% of those that were found in the mussels. So this shows you, just as a small example of what a problem this is on an ecosystem level that we would like to deal with. I do want to particularly thank Dan Paparella, who moved out of the river valley, as he mentioned, but he really did get us started in coming up with the research about the resources that are available out there and some networking opportunities. We feel like this will be successful if we all approach it from a whole standpoint of the Upper Delaware Scenic and Recreational River Valley, both sides, New York and PA, of course. And we were assisted in this endeavor by our Pennsylvania representatives, Jonathan Fritz, Representative Mike Pfeiffer, and Senator Lisa Baker, who had secured some grant funding for the UDC in 2019, and a small allocation of that is being used to help with this program as well. It helped us subsidize Dan's services as coordinator last year. And now that he has moved on, then we are taking it in-house for the administration and hope that it will largely be a volunteer effort, perhaps with some fundraising, and that we can work with the municipalities as we are trying to do, and just have a really successful event that will build upon itself as we go forward, hopefully in future years. So with that said, we will move on to our next topic. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Lori. So I'm going to share my screen briefly to show everyone. Let's see where it is. Our region. Okay. So can everyone see this map that I'm showing? Okay, perfect. So just as a background too, when we talk about the Upper Delaware Scenic and Recreational River Corridor, which is what our purview is at the Upper Delaware Council, and our corresponding National Park Service unit here, we're a partnership to manage the Upper Delaware Scenic and Recreational River. And it goes from, as you can see, it goes from Hancock up in Delaware County down to the town of Deer Park and Mill Rift in Orange County. So we have a huge portion that is Sullivan County here, which is again represented by a lot of Sullivan County volunteers here today, which is great. And then we have Wayne and Pike counties over here in Pennsylvania, going from Buckingham Township all the way down to Westfall Township. So we have this whole section here. It's, correct me on my numbers, it's 76 miles, 78 miles. I'm still, Lori, how many miles?
73.4.
73.4, I was very close, thank you. So 73.4, obviously we're not going to be able to clean every stretch of every road in all of those miles, but we hope to tackle some ground with that. And you can see this kind of, this light green and darker green borders show the extent of the river corridor on either side. So we have some sections on either side that are designated as the river corridor. So those are where we're kind of where we want to focus and tackle the river cleanups, is in these green and these green sections here, right adjacent to the river. So I will stop sharing my screen, but I just wanted to share that as a point of information for everyone. So our target date for this, how we're thinking about running this, because we're, like Lori said, we're running it in-house and we're really going to rely on volunteers this year, is that for the most part, each town and township have designated litter leaders. And we have a few towns and townships that do not have litter leaders yet. So we'll be trying to plug in some areas there for the ones that we don't have accounted for. The majority we do. So the litter leader or co-litter leaders, depending on the town, will be the key point person for the cleanup within the town. And then that person, whoever it is, which there's a couple on this call, will be the key coordinator for volunteer efforts to make sure you know, volunteer recruitment, advertise. Obviously, we'll do a lot of advertising on our end, and we can help with volunteer recruitment. We already have a lot of volunteers interested, many more than are on this call. But the litter leader will be the key point of contact for each town and township. And then we want all of the litter sweeps to take place the week of Earth Day, that kind of Saturday to Saturday window during Earth Day week. That way it allows some flexibility, so each litter leader can kind of have a cleanup on a different day based on who they know their volunteers are. So say in Tustin, Evan is the litter leader, and Evan and Susan know that, you know, Saturday works for a lot of their volunteers, that they'll pick what makes sense for them and then let us know so that we can, you know, advertise, help recruit once they've decided the date. We can post on social media, we can come take photos, we can volunteer, we can help, because, you know, there will be a couple that we'll be able to be at and help with pickup. So that's kind of what we're looking for, is for each town or township to designate their own day and time for the litter sweep during that window of Earth Day week. So that is that. So we want to just talk about some logistics. Again, like I mentioned, each town or township will have a designated litter leader. We've received many of those from the towns so far, but I'll be sending out an email afterwards with what towns we still need filled, to see if anyone is interested in filling those gaps if you're not already a litter leader, or if you want to be put on a specific team so that we know and we can connect you with the litter leader for that town so that everyone is on the same page. UDC kind of sees where our role is more as kind of the central, the clearinghouse, you know, to kind of connect all the team members, and then the litter leader takes it from there, and we'll be, you know, we'll help with publicity and the materials and all of that logistic stuff. So as far as equipment and supplies go, we'll be we'll have trash bags, safety vests, gloves, pickers, etc., for people to come get. So for each team, and we have some of that from past litter sweeps already. What we had discussed with Renaissance and what we're kind of discussing in general is having this kind of be the launch of creating some loaner litter cleanup kits that you'll be able to loan any day of the year from our office, that we can have Upper Delaware renting, loaning litter kits. So anyone who is passing through our area, if they want to pick up a kit to go pick up some litter throughout Narrowsburg or throughout whichever community, they can come and rent all the materials and supplies from our office. So we want to be able to kind of create those kits, and we need some funding to do so. All the litter pluckers and all the materials, it does add up. So we would want to create those kind of handy grab bags where someone comes in, they say, we want to pick up some litter, and we say, here's your bag, bring it back at the end of the day, and we'll take care of the garbage. So that's kind of what we're working on as far as that. And this event in April would kind of be the launch of that as well. So, to be able to have that litter cleanup theme continuing throughout the year. So it's not just this 1 week, but it can be something that people or groups can use our supplies to do any week of the year. As far as sponsorships and fundraising go, again, like I said, we will need some additional funding to make some of these things happen and to help kind of augment what we've already planned on and what we've already been able to do. So if we've already had Thiel Landscaping in the town of Highland has offered to us to be able to use one of their dump trucks to go around and pick up a bunch of the bags at the end of the sweeps. So that's really great. If you know of any other businesses or other services that someone else might be able to donate or offer, let us know. Anything would be of great help, whether it's monetary or equipment or volunteer time, let us know. I do want to turn it over to Ashley to kind of talk about outreach and publicity a little bit. So Ashley, I'm going to turn it over to you.
I'm really excited. We're going to have a local artist from Holly, PA, do our logo for the cleanup. Many of you may know him, Dan Nelson. He works at American House in Holly, and he's also opening up his own tattoo shop, Happy Tattoo in Honesdale, very shortly. We look forward to seeing the artwork, and we'll be sending that out to our Water Use Resource Management Committee and our Operations Committee, and of course, sharing it on our social media when we get it. I would just like to thank Shannon. We just started our social media, and I would say a good number of the people that are here tonight are here because of our social media and also because of our members sharing the press releases. So it just shows how important this is. And I think the success of this event is going to continue through that logo and sharing. So that's where we're kind of hoping that you guys can come in, and once we get that logo, just continue sharing. One of the bonuses of this logo is it's going to be in a band format, and we'll be able to continue to use this poster. And at the bottom, we'll be able to put the date and the different sponsors and partners. So we'll be able to change that each year, which is very valuable to have. Dan Nelson's also known in the river community because he does a lot of the river cleanups for Pig Farm Inc. And that's where I grew a lot of the contact lists for this cleanup. So I'm very grateful to have him as a contact.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. So yeah, so we're really excited, and I just shared my screen and put up, these are our social media channels, as well as some other useful links that you may want to write down. Again, we'll be sending all this out afterwards. But yeah, we're really stoked to have a local artist, like Ashley said, and then we can use that logo moving forward, something catchy, something fun. So we're very excited about that. When it comes to locations for these litter sweeps, it's important to note we're still working with DOT to get permits and to make sure that we can do litter sweeps specifically in New York on 97 and on other state highways throughout, so that we know that we have permissions to be there. However, you don't necessarily need to plan your litter sweep on one of those state routes, because there are so many locations within the corridor that could use help, specifically the, you know, the hamlet centers, the downtowns, you know, Damascus, Narrowsburg, et cetera. There's plenty of locations that that are, you know, side streets or neighborhood streets or main streets that aren't state routes that could definitely use some help. Also parks and river accesses. There are so many river accesses up and down the river that again could use your help. Trails, hiking trails. So there are really so many possibilities. Don't just think of this as it has to be on the scenic byway or on, you know, 652 or one of these major routes. It can really be wherever you see a need in your town or in your community, and then kind of go from there. So, you know, of course, safety is a huge part of this, and we're going to be giving out, you know, the neon vests and everything. But again, we want to make sure everyone's safe. And sometimes, you know, if you feel more safe at a river access versus on a roadway, that's absolutely fine as well. We'll support whatever locations people want to clean up litter at. So that's the note on roadside work.
Shannon, may I just add to that?
Absolutely.
Last year at a previous meeting, the DOT had great representation and they were kind enough to share with us. They said safety is a #1 concern with them. They don't want people on or at rock faces next to the guide rails that are by the narrow shoulder or on other side of the guide rail where there is a cliff, etc. Anyone can have a medical moment at any time. That's why they would like to create the organized safe zones on Route 97. And as Shannon had mentioned, approved hard hats and vests are required. And of course, we may have to adjust to Route 97 with the COVID pandemic, but we just want to keep in mind what our friends at the DOT said.
Thanks, Ashley. That's super important. So, and we'll be working with both PennDOT and New York State DOT to make sure we have all our ducks in a row there. That is one of the functions that Ashley and I will be making sure happen. And then, you know, so that the litter leaders know that they're all accounted for and set. So moving forward, again, we'll open it up to questions and discussion here in a few minutes. But we just want to reiterate that, you know, if you you know, share this on your social media channels, you know, share it in your local communities to get volunteers, to get people that are interested. If, you know, if they can't help on a particular date with yours, maybe they can help in a neighboring town on a different litter sweep. So we're just really, you know, again, we're really excited about this program and to kind of culminate a lot of hard work that a lot of people have put into this. And to clean up on Earth Day week, to clean up our river area. I know everyone here has a connection to the river in some way and loves the river. And like Lori said, the microplastic study that just came out was very alarming. And so this is something we should all be concerned about because, you know, we need to protect our river environment. So we're really glad everyone's here. And, you know, we'll be sending the recording out after and sending out a bunch of information via email to everyone here tonight and those who couldn't make it. And we'll be moving forward with some requests for funding, et cetera. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And then, yeah, so if anyone has questions, comments, ideas, thoughts, let us know. And, we'll open it up to discussion. Andy, go. Oh, Andy, do you want to go first and then Tess?
I'd like to make a few observations. Number one, the notion here is that this is going to be the first, and it may be difficult in that regard, but it would be hopefully annual after this. So if we set this up properly and get a good template, it'll work easier in the future years. This is something that they started that I heard about on the Hudson River. And it was in 2019, they collected like 117 tons of trash because the word got out. And we can see from tonight, like Dawson Smith is on this call because he heard about it. And, you know, if you give the opportunity, people will come. We all do this in other parts of our lives. on, participated in a D&H Canal cleanup in Lackawaxen. And they've done this for many years, and it went so smoothly. There were so many volunteers. It took no time. We started at 10 or 11 o'clock. By 1 o'clock, the whole stretch was done. So many hands make light the work, and it's a question of getting the word out. If people hear about it, we've all been cooped up for so long. We're looking for something to do, and this is going to be such a great thing to reconnect with people and get out and do something physical. And I think that that's important. So I'm hoping that litter leaders will maybe write a letter to the editor, whether it's the River Reporter or other media, to invite people from their towns and get the words out so that we each have a good team in our respective town. With respect to the map that we all saw just a little while ago that Shannon put up, I think, right? Was it Ashley? Anyway, it would be a good idea, I think, if we could colorize or mark on each side the towns that have designated teams or leaders or groups that might participate, so we can see what we've got covered early on and what we need yet to do, and where we have to reach out to get a team in place. So I think that's going to be important. And also this group, like I want to reach out to the Lackawaxen litter leader because of the contacts I had there, people who have done that there. It's a natural to tap into those people, but we need to share those contacts. So I'm hoping that from this meeting, we can get a list of contacts, emails, and or phone contacts so that we can collaborate with one another. And I think that would be a good idea, just so that we can expand this. It'll grow all by itself, but it'll be helpful if we have the contact information. And that's about all I have to say.
That's awesome, Andy. I think you know, sending out, having an email chain with just the litter leaders is really important, and I think will be really useful because we do want them to be our primary points of contact. So I think we can definitely set that up after this call.
That's one aspect of it, but I think on that list, when this mailing list, I would hope would even, that could be maybe a top portion of it or a portion of it where it goes out, but it should also include others, because as Dan remembers from last year when we were working on this, there were groups that showed up, and we should not exclude them. We should include them and build them this year, include them again. Also, but not only the team leaders, but we should have subgroups there to cover things like maybe fundraising, maybe a publicity. Publicity is so important. Getting the word out here is, I think, what this is going to be all about. Because when the day comes, it's not brain surgery to go out and pick stuff up. The logistical parts of it, I do think, are a little more complicated. It's almost like the COVID vaccine. You know, we get the vaccine, but then you got to get it in the arms, and it's the same thing here. We got to pick the stuff up. We got to get it out. We should get recycled. What can be recycled? Things like that are all important. So there's a whole logistical phase of this that has to be worked on. And that's it. I'll shut up.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate it. Tess, did you have a question?
Yeah, I've been doing this for a number of years, and actually last year I think we picked up 26 bags of garbage, Tom Dent. It was ridiculous on 17B, and we took our lives in our hands going on Route 17B. But my question really is for Brian, and the county usually provides free dumping for the litter plucks, and I wondered if Sullivan County was going to do that this year for the towns that participate in Sullivan County.
Oh, you're muted, Brian.
unmute your microphone. You can press star six to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, it's going in front of legislators for tomorrow for approval. It's going to be April 1st through June 30th again this year.
Cool.
So yeah, we'll be doing the free dumping of litter at the county transfer stations. So I'll be reaching out to everyone probably in the next couple of weeks to get out the stickers to everyone that to put on the bags, and I'll reach out to all town clerks and supervisors and organizations and everything. So yeah.
Great, thanks.
Colleen?
Hi, everyone. I have a question about renting the litter kits, because I know in our organization, we really appreciate volunteers. Do they volunteer if they have to rent a litter plucking kit?
Definitely, yeah. There would be no cost to somebody who would want to come in and do a litter pluck throughout the year. That would be purely volunteer based. Ashley and I actually were inspired by an organization further down the Delaware in the Philadelphia area who does a similar program already in their watershed. They have these kits that you can pick up at their office and go out and do, pick up litter for a few hours and bring it back, and then they take care of the trash. So this would be totally free, just something that we would advertise on our social media, or that we could lend to, groups wanting to do litter cleanups at any
great.
point.
So what is the word rental? What does that mean when you use the word rent to rent kits?
They would have to return it. So we would, they would just borrow it for the day, and then they
so
would
it's
bring
like a
it back.
loan. It's a loaner.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evan, did you?
Yeah, if you can read what I wrote there, I don't know if you saw it, but just that way, if there's any groups that provide a large number of volunteers, rather than have 50 volunteers at the Narrowsburg Union one day, maybe something like that, we might be able to distribute them accordingly on the weekend or whatever day might work for them. So just a heads up as far as if you for some reason find yourself well, hopefully we have a lot of volunteers in all the townships, but if for some reason it seems like 20 volunteers are all going to show up at one spot at one time, just a lot of communication leading up to that so that we can kind of avoid that sort of scenario.
Definitely. And I saw Maura's comment in here too, that SUNY Sullivan can help with sharing this information with staff and students to get more volunteers. So once we have, kind of the definitive list of when and where to be throughout that week of the different sweeps going on, I'm sure between SUNY Sullivan and a few of the other organizations represented here would help with publicity and getting volunteers, which is a huge help. Thank you, Maura, for that, and Evan for that idea, because that's important too, to make sure that it's spread out a bit for greater impact.
Is a question about those of you in PA. Hold on one moment. How those of you in PA are gonna sort out the disposal. I have a valuable contact in Mike from Keep Holly Honesdale Beautiful, who does multiple permits for litter pickups over in PA. So I will be requesting his help with that process and also reaching out to the appropriate people on the PA side.
Okay, and this is Jeff who asked that question. And would it make sense maybe to reach out to county waste or waste management as well, since we don't have a county-wide system like New York does?
A lot of people echo that PA is a little bit easier with the pickups than New York. So I'll be sure to relay that information to all.
Larry, did you have a question? You're muted, Larry.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so a couple of thoughts. One, I think that in response to Evan's comments, I would anticipate that the leaders would be the ones that would go and pick up whatever kits are needed for their team. bring them back and make sure that they're returned. So you don't have, 6 or 8, 10 people from Coshecton going down there standing in line. Another thought is, if funding becomes available, I would like to see if we could not get some caution temporary road signs that say caution work or whatever it says on it. But that's one, my Democratic Club in Coshecton does a pickup on 17B, which is very busy like it is on 97. And the one concern that I hear over and over again is they would feel better if there were some sort of caution signs at least that perhaps you can get some of those people to slow down from 60 miles an hour to 55. I don't know. So that's one thought. And looking further ahead as creating a teamwork, if monies were available, we might be able to get some donations, some businesses along 97. But I'd like to see us consider uniform shirts. And I know we're going to get vests, and that's a requirement, but perhaps we can get uniform shirts so that it gives everybody a kind of a feeling of we're a team and we're part of a bigger team. So just a thought.
I think those are some great ideas, Larry. We started making kind of a wish list of what is needed for the cleanup, and the caution signs or litter crew signs are definitely on that. There's some that you can put on the construction cones that look pretty useful. There's a few different models, so we have them all saved and ready to go, and a few different options.
Can I, one other thought, because, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. One other thought might be that when you're exploring the trash pickup side of it, we signed a contract to adopt 2 miles of 17B. And in that contract, New York State DOT picks up the trash. All we have to do, we don't also take advantage of it, but all we really have to do is fill the bags and leave them on the side of the road, and DOT will pick them up. That's all I got.
No, I appreciate this because, of course, Ashley and I are doing a lot of the behind the scenes logistics. So we appreciate all the input possible. And I think, like I said before, this is being recorded, so I'll be sending it out to everyone afterwards, as well as some typed up notes of what we've discussed and some things moving forward, information, and then, of course, what we need from litter leaders. And so we'll be moving from there. But this is a really great conversation. And yeah, are there any other questions or comments or ideas that anyone wants to share?
Of course, our new logo design would be perfect to show on a t-shirt or sweatshirt. Yeah. And I think that really does promote unity for this event and would be a nice keepsake for anybody who volunteers their time. So I would think that perhaps we could approach some businesses with that sponsorship idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Jeff also asked, any thoughts on working with local correctional facilities? We had not, I don't think that's come up in our conversations yet. I don't know, Ashley or Lori, if you guys had.
Larry has.
I'll just tell you that they don't do it. We explored that in Coshecton, and we were told that they don't do that anymore.
Hey, Shannon.
Yep.
Who's going to identify the areas or the stretches of Route 97 that are safe for litter pickup?
That's a good question. I think, if we can get the permits to work on 97, then we will confirm segments that are safe with DOT. But as of right now, we don't have the official approvals, so plan around that. But hoping that we can get that, and then we'll confirm that with you in each town. Larry?
Can I say one more thing, and kind of somewhat regards to that? Peggy and I last weekend drove Coshecton. I mean, I drive it so much, but we drove it from the town line to Delaware to Tustin. It's 6.5 miles. And what we did was we noted every half mile, either a mileage marker or a distinguishing feature, might be a road coming in or something, with the idea being that we're going to try to get enough people so that nobody has to do more than a half a mile of road. Of course, half a mile is a mile if you do both sides. But by breaking it up like that, we have to take another closer look at it. But we may be able to, as was just mentioned, say that between mile marker this and mile marker this, we're not picking up because. And it would be easier for us to, I think, to manage it. And maybe others could do something similar.
A good thought, Larry. Thank you. Andy?
Yes, I think that the idea, we had discussed the idea of having some identifying a T-shirt or something like that. And that, I think we could get two things. Number one, it builds the team idea, the collaboration, but also that could be a safety feature too. If we get those in like a blaze orange or whatever, could be. I don't think there's any extra cost for have it bright color, and orange would probably be a good color. And with the logo might work well. And I think that we'll have, I think the funds will come in for these type of things. So you get a free T-shirt. The other thing, when we were brainstorming this the very first time around, they talked about, and it may not fit in this scheme at all, but they talked about having a some kind of a get-together at the end of the event, at the end of the litter sweep. And I'm not sure whether I favor it or not, but I'm throwing it out there. If we do, as a group, think that's a good idea, that's something we also may want to look into. There's a lot to do, though, in a very little time. Okay.
Thanks, Andy. No, I appreciate that. Of course, everything's going to be kind of COVID dependent as far as gatherings. So that's why the litter sweep portion of this is really great, because we can do it in a, outside in a socially distanced manner. So, all right. Maura, did you have a?
Yeah, Shannon, I can email you another time, but I'm just thinking about it, and I'm not sure how much our students at SUNY Sullivan know about the Delaware River. So maybe there's some way to do some sort of informational session with them as a way to get them excited about this and future projects. Currently, we don't have any students living on campus because of COVID, but they're still enrolled in school and they still get the emails and everything. So maybe we can work something out just as a way to have like an informational session for them.
I love that. I think that'd be a great idea, especially because they're in the same county as a nationally designated wild and scenic and recreational river. So I think a lot of people, on that side of the county don't know that as much. I know because I live in Monticello, and I know people don't necessarily think of it as often as everyone in the corridor does. So I think some sort of info session would be really helpful. So let's definitely talk offline about that for sure. That's a great idea.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And the college's support is wonderful. Anybody else? I think we're coming up on an hour here, which is really great. That was kind of our goal, so that we didn't have to take up too much of everyone's evenings. I know everyone on this call, I think, wears at least 5 different hats in our communities. So we really appreciate everyone's time tonight. Like I said, I'll be sending out, Ashley and I'll send out some information in the next couple days as far as next steps and moving forward and all of that good stuff, and as well as the Zoom recording for those that missed the meeting. Again, talk to your friends about this, talk to your communities in your, in your social groups, in your, municipal groups, any sort of service groups you're involved in, get people interested, get people on board. We want to make this a really wonderful event. And I think, like I said, the river kind of connects all of us. And I think this is going to be a really wonderful program to kind of bring everyone together in this era of social distancing. It's something that we can all do together to make our communities a better and cleaner space. So I really appreciate everyone being on the call, and to Lori and Ashley for working on this with me, and Dan for his work before, and all of our board members on the call for their support. And be ready to hear from us. I'll be sending out lots of emails in the next couple of weeks. So thank you everyone for being on this call. And it was so wonderful to see so many faces, and we will see everyone soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.